Party people in the place to be. What's good? Is your man's Uncle Freezie. What's good? Welcome to Old School Knicks. Welcome to Old School Knicks, man. We're gonna talk this morning school stuff, man. The current Knicks stuff. We got like 1,000 shows that touch on that stuff. But gonna get in and rock and roll a little bit. Want to talk about a couple of things, man. The first thing I want to talk about, man, is Walt Clyde Frazier. Right? Jermaine Royster, what's good? What's good? I want to talk about Clyde a little bit, but before I do, want to do a little housekeeping. Anthony D, the star of the show, will be here in about two minutes. He'll be here in a little bit, right? Brother Shaquille Sunflower, what's good? I'm gonna share this on Twitter also, just real quick. That's our home base, that's origin. So let me share on Twitter real quick. Come on in and enjoy. All right. Old School Knicks shared it on Twitter. Rome Fall Rock. What's good? What's good? Shout out to Queens. What's good? So I want to talk about Clyde Frazier just real quick before our man Anthony D show up. He should be here. He told me 2 minutes, but I guess that's 2 minutes Brooklyn time. That's 2 minutes Brooklyn time. So I'm assuming that's a little bit different. Subliminal 209 is in the building. What's good? What's good? I want to talk to y'all real quick about what it's like to have a championship level point guard. Right? Just want to talk to y'all real quick about the impact of having a championship level point guard in your franchise. Right? A championship level point guard in your franchise not only turns you into a contender, right? But it turns you into a perennial contender of all time. Once you get a point guard, a perennial all-time great point guard, the impact of that player on your franchise is felt forever. Forever. Right? And I know that sounds like hyperbole, and maybe y'all think I have a hidden agenda or another hidden topic that I want to talk about, but I don't. What I'm here to tell you is when you have an all-time great point guard, that player covers up all the other flaws that you have in your organization. All of them. Right? It's like in baseball, when you have an all-time great catcher, right? When you have an all-time great catcher, all the other stuff on your team, your defense, and all that stuff gets covered up by your catcher, right? Your catcher controls the pitching staff, controls the defense, controls the other team's running game, right? All these things that you take for granted, right? But when you think about this, the Yankees of yesteryear had a catcher named Yogi Berra. They had Mickey Mantle and a whole bunch of other good guys, right? Good players. But they had a great catcher in Yogi Berra. So all the other guys could just play freely and do what came easy to them. Right? Right? The Big Red Machine. The Big Red Machine had a great catcher and Johnny Bench. Right? All the guys could do whatever. Right? But they had a great catcher. Right? If you're a Mets fan, you remember being a good team in the early 80s, but you did not turn the corner until you got Gary Carter. You were a good team. And I'm a Mets fan. I know this. I remember John Stern was a good catcher. He made the All-Star team one year. Right? John Stern, number 12, John Stearns. Right? He was a great catcher, right? But he wasn't an all-time great catcher. Some of y'all don't even remember John Stearns. I remember him. John Stearns, Joe Youngblood, Hubie Brooks, who else? Lee Mazzilli, Rusty Staub. I remember all those Mets, right? But listen, this is what I'm getting at. Our Knicks won't be great until we get a great point guard. Listen to me. The Knicks won't be great until we get a great point guard. It doesn't matter all your RJ Barretts, your Julius Randles, all these guys, they'll come and they'll go, right? But until the Knicks get a great point guard, we'll still be in this same situation. I got Anthony D backstage. I think I didn't see him on camera, so I don't know if he's ready to come on or not. Let me see. Let me see if Anthony D. Let me see if Anthony D. Hey, there he is. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Freezie. You know, you saw me. You know, I was back here before I launched into you. You know, pause.
You didn't have your camera on. How you had your camera on? How was I supposed to know?
I'm always there. I'm like God. I'm everywhere.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Let me say good morning to everybody and all the Knick Nation out there. Let me just pour some water on your early Mets theory of being
Don't lose.
You were trash.
You were
trash. Stop it. You were trash. You were absolutely trash. No.
Every time the Mets made the World Series, they had a great catcher.
No, by the time the Mets made the World Series, they had a great catcher. By the time,
that was my point.
Okay, but I hate when people go back in history and gloss over when their teams were trash. You know, so let's keep it a buck.
Right, they were trash for. I didn't say they were never trash.
You know,
what I said is that if you want to be, wait a minute, you got some feedback.
Pete Francona. You know, Dave Kong Kingman.
I remember him. George Foster.
George Foster, that wasn't Big Red Machine George Foster, but Mets George Foster.
No, he was I got the bag at age 30, George. He was Kemba Walker.
Yeah, he was done. He was even, but to roll into, I'm gonna differ a little bit with your point as far as great point guard. I don't think we need a great point guard. What we need is a very good floor general. Like the gentleman up in there in Toronto. What's his name again? What's his name? Van Cleef? What's his name again? I don't want to I always forget his name. Look at him. Is he a great ball player? No.
You know, I ain't even say his name. When you this point is so crazy, I ain't even say his name. I know who you're talking about, and I know his name.
But he had during their run to the finals, from whence he came from, he had great moments and became a very good, stable floor general. You see, the gentleman that left from Toronto went to Miami. Was he a great ball player? No, because remember, Toronto kept getting dusted off by Cleveland year in, year out. But it took a general manager, you know, to come in to put the right pieces together so they could shine. You see,
bro, who's the greatest point guard in Toronto Raptors history?
God, that's hard.
The dude you talk about right now, Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is the greatest point guard in Toronto Raptors history.
Yeah, and he was faltering for several years. Remember, Toronto kept one year their coach was coach of the year, and they had to fire him. They had to move on from him.
Right.
So it's back to our early theme when people don't want to believe this, but organizations win championships.
When's the last time the Knicks won a championship?
Oh God, when you were like 7 years old. It's been that long.
Yeah, I was like 5, but yeah, okay.
It's been that long.
Yeah. But my point is, when they won the championship, they had 2 Hall of Fame point guards and one played off the ball just to fit in.
I don't think it's not the great point guard per se, and that's been our problem. We keep thinking we need the great point guard. We need a floor general. One of the points, and I'm gonna shout my man out because me and him went back and forth early in the week. Free Keith. One of the points I tried to make to Free, you can walk up in here anytime you feel like it, because I feel like dusting off the streets today. That before Kemba, lost his spot, Kemba never galvanized the offense. It's still Randall's offense. It's still dictated by Randall.
You okay today?
At some point in time, I'm gonna tell you a quick story, 2 quick stories actually. When Warren Moon, the quarterback, went to Minnesota, Carter was still there, not Anthony Carter, Chris Carter. Chris Carter, young Chris Carter, just about to ascend. And Warren Moon said that Chris Carter had a reputation. He kept running his mouth in the huddle, and he would let the quarterbacks know, you throw me the ball or whatever. And he said the first time Chris Carter did, he said, "Shut the F up.
Yep.
Go run your route, and I'll throw you the ball if you're open and if I decide
you open."
Right. And from there on, he galvanized. Because remember, Minnesota was kind of like that team for as far back as we know, as young, going back to the 70s.
They would win 11 games, yes. Win the wild card, and lose in the second round. I know he's talking about.
Yeah, they've always knocked on the door. Even with Warren, and Warren at that time was like, what, 38, 39?
I was going to say, like 40, yeah.
He could still sling it. But for the mere fact that he came in and he took control of the offense, you see? Second point, Mark Jackson, when God rest the dead, when Anthony Mason came to the team, Mark Jackson tells a story one time. Anthony Mason says, "Yo, you passed me the ball, I'm gonna punch you in the face." Right? 6'7", chiseled from granite.
260, yeah.
260 easy. Telling Burger Buns Mark, "Pass me the ball, I'm gonna punch you in the face."
Yep.
Right? Mark said he just looked him off. No, that's not what we're doing. Because why? You're not a very good offensive ball player. That's not your role. And that's what the Knicks need. That floor general. Again, yes, we used to remember when we had Charlie Ward and Chris Childs? We thought they were Pintos.
And Greg Anthony, yeah.
And Greg Anthony, we thought they were Pintos. We were dreaming about Mercedes Benz, and we were like, "Yo, this the Deuce and Quarter."
Yeah.
This the Chevy Nova.
Yeah.
But that combination, those 3 guys at different points in time, got us to 2 finals and at least 4 Eastern Conference championships in support of the main guy or the main guys. That's the blueprint we're missing. You see, the stabilizer, the one who's gonna tell, the main guy, "Yo, I'm looking you off because you ain't got it right now. We're running this play."
I agree with Myth. Myth said basically what we're saying is one and the same.
Yeah, but not great. He doesn't have to be a great ball player. He has to be a great player for our squad. He's got to be the general. See,
I disagree. I think you have to be great, bro. You got to be great.
Like I said, Van Fleet would you call Van Fleet a great ball player? No.
But he played the 2 for Toronto. Kyle Lowry was their point guard, bro.
Yeah, but he could but whatever you put him in at the 1, even during that run, you didn't miss a beat. You didn't miss a beat because what he understood his role, and as he grew, so grew his confidence, and so grew his teammates' confidence in him. So when he said something, when he barked, you see, one of the misnomers in NBA basketball today is that Curry is a point guard. It's not a point guard.
AD, come on, bro.
He's not a point guard.
Come on, Steph Curry's the greatest point guard to ever play, bro.
No, would you stop it? No, stop.
Steph Curry is the greatest point guard
to
ever play basketball, bro.
He's the greatest quasi in-between player who's ever played the game.
Point guard, bro.
No, he's not a point.
Bro, Steph Curry
because of his physical stature, and meaning that he's small. Because we always equate point guards to being the smallest guy on the team. Because of his physical stature, we throw him into point guard.
No, bro. Steph Curry's a playmaker, bro.
Who runs the plays on that team? For as long as they've been good, who runs the plays on that team?
Bro, don't start this, because I'm telling you, if you open the door to this, I'm going to start on Randall being the number 1 option.
I've already opened the door, so walk on through.
So because if you say what I think you're going to say, we're going to talk about Randall being the number 1 option for the Knicks.
You know it's Draymond Green. You know Draymond Green is the one who runs. You know it's Draymond Green who runs and plays on that team. It doesn't even make sense for us not to say that.
Bro.
Always been Draymond.
Bro, so for one, it hadn't always been Draymond.
I said for as long as they've been good.
Okay. All right. Well, I will say this. Draymond Green is an excellent basketball player.
Yes.
Right. But Draymond Green did not make Steph Curry. Let's not even, come on. That's what you're alluding to. You're saying that my man generates the offense, runs the offense.
No, but it allows Steph to be Steph. It allows
at times play off ball.
Yes, and he plays more off ball than when he's on ball. You know what's about to happen. If he hits you with ha, when you get the ha, you're gone. So then he's open. So then what is he looking to do? From 40, from 35, from 30, from 50. He'll pull. Traditional point guards, from when we learned the game of basketball, you did that, you got a seat next to the coach.
Yep.
Right? It's a different game today, yes, but to say he's the greatest, no, is he a quarterback like Jason Kidd? No,
but all point guards are not made the same.
But all point guards should have something in them that galvanizes the team to where when we're running whatever, like using Steph for a second, he's got enough credit in him that if he comes across the floor and takes 5 50-footers, you got to eat that.
Yep.
Why? Steph Curry.
Because he's going to hit 2 of them.
And he's going to hit 2 of them. And if you argue, he's going to say, look at this jewelry.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Once you've gone to the mountaintop and you've proven that it can win, you can always go.
So to this point that you're making, right? Because it sounds like you are on the Magic Johnson is a point forward conversation. Like to me, Magic Johnson is a point guard, right? But
no, he just happened to be 6'9".
Not, but what?
He just happened to be 6'9". He's a point guard.
What?
I would never say point forward. He just happened to be. Magic could be. You could say point center, point forward, point guard, point shooting guard. Whatever you wanted him to be, he could be it.
Right.
Didn't matter. But he controlled the offense.
Right.
He could make Rambis run because he knows Rambis. We're not running plays around you. I don't care what
but Rambis was important to that offense. You know why?
Yeah, because he could set screens.
Because he was the best screen setter in the league.
Yeah. He set screens. But
right.
At no point in time does Rambis come over to him and be like, yo, I'm open. He knows better.
Right. Right. Now, and so what I'm getting at, and I think we may have, I think you're in your willingness to take on Uncle Freezie in this debate and lose on national TV, you gloss over the point that you cannot have a sustained championship run without a championship level point guard.
Hold on. First of all, in the words of a great actor that once say that the star can't die to the last reel. How the star gonna lose on his own show?
Because I'm Uncle Freezie. Yeah, I don't lose, bro. I'm gonna think about changing my name to Parker Lewis. Parker Lewis can't lose, baby. Hey, so my point is, outside of one dynasty, right? Every other dynasty had a great point guard. Every dynasty. Yeah, but outside of the Chicago Bulls, every other dynasty had a championship level point guard.
Okay, look at CP3. They didn't lose last year because he wasn't great, right? Just like Milwaukee didn't win because they had a great point guard. You see? They had excellent team play. See what I'm saying? And their star player rose like the Phoenix at the critical moments.
Right.
And that's what your general does. Your general, Holiday, we as time goes on, we won't remember Holiday's performance. We just won't. Because as time goes on, Greek Freak's 50, 10, and 12 and 5 just gets bigger and bigger like the sun and will block out anything anybody else did in that game. But the true basketball fans will remember, during a timeout, pepping him up. Come on, Greek. Come on, baby. Block out that knee injury. You know what I'm saying? I know it's hurting, but you give us 48, we're going to give you 48. You be great, and we're going to do our part, and we're just going to move on.
Bro.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about him having to be great. Like, again, with my Charlie Ward, Chris Childs analogy, when Larry Johnson goes and takes that free throw after hitting the three, the one person on the floor in the entire Garden that had the sense to run up to Larry and say, calm down.
It's not over. You got to complete this. Yeah.
You got to complete this.
Yep.
Was Chris Childs.
Yep.
Everybody in the whole tri-state, every Knicks fan everywhere, we were high-fiving, chest bumping, toasting our drink, you know what I'm saying? Doing some other stuff that we can't talk about on camera, all kinds of things, right? But the one person in the universe rolled up to Larry, and once he got to Larry, I remember it like yesterday. Larry calmed down, went to the free throw line, did his routine, hit the shot. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Chris Childs is not a great ball player. Chris Childs is an okay ball player.
Right. But that and how many championships did that team win?
You know, why we gotta go there?
That's my point. You see, you're missing my point. You're missing my point. A championship level team needs a championship level point guard for sustained success.
Who was San Antonio's all-time great point guard?
Tony Parker.
No. In '99.
That wasn't a dynasty. That wasn't that team won one championship.
That was the beginning of the dynasty.
You could say that, but you could say the same thing for Milwaukee and Toronto. They won one championship with a decent point guard, but for sustained success.
Hold on a second here.
Huh?
You wanna run before you crawl. I only want one. I want one.
But the point that I was making before you jumped on camera was not what does Anthony D want. The point that I was making is if you want to be a dynasty, you need a championship level point guard.
If you want to be a dynasty, you got to win one first. Yeah. Debate over. Debate over. If you want to be a dynasty, you got to win one first.
Right.
And for those of us that's been waiting for that one.
What about Toronto? Is the Toronto Raptors a dynasty right now?
No.
They won one first.
But they don't care about. But see, the thing is, you don't. Okay, Freezie, hold on here a second. You don't get a collection of ball players in any sport at any time and say, you know what, this is the making of a dynasty. No, that's not how that works. This is the making of the formation of success. Success breeds a singular championship. Then after you've done that, you then go back in and weed out and say, well, who's ready for number two? Who can I depend on? Where did I need to fix? Where do I need to add to get number two? The word's dynasty is a media-driven accomplishment. No team outside of Pat Riley, I can never remember a coach or a front office person predicting a championship.
See, that's what. Okay, so you said a couple things that were wrong, right? So first of all, Pat Riley owns the word three-peat. Anytime you say the word three-peat, you got to pay Pat Riley, right?
Right.
Pat Riley owns the word three-peat, right? Because Pat Riley, they was like, Coach, you won a championship. Do you think you can repeat? You know what I'm saying? Repeat the success. He said, not only are we going to repeat, we are going to three-peat. And Brett Musburger, if you get a chance, look at the Brett Musburger interview from CBS when he interviewed Pat Riley after they won the championship. He said three-peat. That's the first time we ever heard it, right? But here's the other thing where you're wrong this morning, right? You don't just win a championship and then say, hey, you know what I'm saying, let's run it back. What you do is first you get a group of players and you accomplish something, right? And then you fall short. And then you watch another team win it and you like, we let them win it. We should have beat them. It's the same thing that happened in 68-69 with the Knicks. 68-69, the Knicks let the Celtics get off the ropes and the Celtics won a championship, and the Knicks should have won it in 68 and 69, right? So going in, everybody saw that. Everybody's like, oh, snap, the Knicks, this should have been the Knicks year. So from 69 summer, everybody knew that the Knicks were the team to beat going into 69-70. Everybody knew it. Even the defending champs, the Celtics knew it, right? When we played the Celtics in 69-70, we beat the Celtics like a drum. You know why? Because the Celtics knew that we should have beat them the year before, and we were young, and we let them get off. We let them off the hook because we were a young team that didn't know how to win. right? So we mess around and trade for Dave DeBusschere. Dave DeBusschere helped us do stuff. We want to run this motion offense by Red Holzman, where everybody touches the ball. Everybody can dribble past. But Dave DeBusschere say, hey man, instead of you setting these soft screens, we want to make sure everybody that get touched by a screen fear these screens. Right? That way, when Bill Bradley get his open shot, where we'll get to shoot, he can shoot open shots instead of contested shots. And so we took that young team, had a small taste of success, got a little veteran leadership, and in 69-70, they won it. Should we have won it in 70-71? We had injuries at all the wrong time. Everyone was like a walking mansion. Should we win it in 71-72? Nobody was beating the Bucks.
You got injuries, and you got two other words. 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
But yeah, and the old Oscar Robertson. I was just about to say that. I was just about to get to that. You know what I'm saying? That team, they caught lightning in the bottle. But 72-73. Remember the year before that, 71-72, the Lakers won. The Lakers set the record. The Los Angeles Lakers won 32 games in a row in 71-72. They were a dynamo, right?
Right.
But in 72-73, we had something for the Lakers, right? Red Holzman and Clyde Frazier spoke to it. Red Holzman had revamped the way he took the Knicks from old school 60s basketball to new school basketball the way you see it now.
But hold on, Freezie. And I want you to hold that point right there, because oftentimes this part gets missing. And for those Knicks fans who are not old enough to know about this or know about the history, when they lost in the finals the year before, Gail Goodrich put it on Earl the Pearl. Facts.
Right.
When I had the pleasure to be close, and I was gonna go up to Earl the Pearl, introduce myself as a Knicks fan. Not introduce myself, but just as a Knicks fan that appreciate the history of Earl the Pearl from the Bullets, from Baltimore, Earl the Pearl from Winston-Salem State, averaging 41.9 points per game.
Per game.
Pre 3-pointer. Earl the Pearl said that he had to go back and revamp himself because Gail Goodrich gave him the business in the finals. And if you go back and look at Earl the Pearl's stats in the finals, it supports his argument of what he said, that he let the team down. So not only did Red have to revamp stuff, but Earl had to come be Earl. Because Earl knew that the trade that they made was to bring him in here to win a championship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And back to the point is, again, and you're missing a little of this, the word dynasty, that's a media-driven argument. You see, the Knicks, after the 70s were over, were voted the team of the decade.
Right.
Right? They won 2 championships. They went to 3 finals, 4 Eastern Conference finals, 3 finals, 4 Eastern Conference finals, and won 2 championships. Voted the team of the decade. Right. That's something for the people who don't play the game to write about, to say, this is who you are. You see what I'm saying? For me, right, those 90s teams, short of a championship, was a dynasty. Why? You could expect every April into May into June, because that's where those rivalries went to. The rivalries with Miami, the rivalry with a lot of people don't remember this, even with Charlotte, even with the Knicks,
even with Atlanta.
The biggest rivalry was Indiana, absolutely, because we lost to them twice when it counted on our home floor. Right? So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're incorrect as far as with the point guard, but we've been chasing that carrot, which leads us to, and leads us to feel good moments, to symbolisms, to Kemba Walkers. Going into the season, and any Knick fan sitting out there that knows me, have heard me talk about this over and over again. The 40-degree day, which is a reference of play on The Wire, Stringer Bell talking to his crew about ends getting their whatever on. 30 degree, whatever the 40-degree day, no one gives up about a 40-degree day.
Right.
That's what Fournier is. That's what Kemba is. Because why? You just came off of a 4th seed, right? You lost 5 games to Atlanta. And where are you going from there? Management, this is how you know there's 2 camps. Upper level management decided that, okay, we need more offense. The troops on the ground is like, yeah, but our identity is defense. And the coach who's coaching is kind of limited offensively.
Right.
So you stick him with a homegrown talent, a feel-good story, and a guy you gave $80 million to, who you could have went another direction that you really needed. See, that's the problem here, Freezie. Okay. As we, you see what I'm saying? And
I feel you. I understand what you're saying, right? But the point that I was getting to was the championship point guard, bro. You got to have it, and you argue with me saying we don't. But even now, when I look back, I'm looking at a list of all the NBA champs, right? I'm looking at the Golden State Warriors went to the NBA Finals 5 straight years, right? They had Steph Curry, right? I don't know, man. My belief is, in order for the Knicks to get to this vaunted, promised land, you got to go get a point guard, because the 2 things you're chasing are running parallel, but you think they're separate. You want a championship, and you want a point guard, and you think they're mutually exclusive. And I'm telling you, you can get one by securing the other, is what I'm saying.
I think you're correct, Freezie, but again,
I know, because I always win, bro.
Well, again, Phoenix did not lose because CP3 is not a championship point guard.
I know that.
Again, I can point out several different examples. We're not winning because we don't have an all-time great point guard. What we have is lackluster management.
Right.
With the inability to identify whether it's that piece or another piece. You see, I wanted Lonzo Ball here.
Right.
I wanted Lonzo Ball here at the trading deadline.
Right. Yep.
Not only that, I made this point like a week ago. Look at Toronto during the trading deadline. They traded Marvin Powell for Trent Jr. Out of these three players, Fournier, Trent Jr., Marvin Powell.
Norman Powell, yeah.
Or Norman Powell. Which two would you rather have?
Either one of those two, not Fournier.
Why? Those are offensive and defensive basketball players.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking Fournier. I like Fournier as a player.
Let me not Fournier. As I said it before, I could name 75 ball players better than Fournier.
Right.
I said this before. I said at the time, you ran out and threw him that money as if he was the
savior,
the missing link. Like he was not the missing link.
So you're knocking the front office.
I've been knocking the front office.
Okay.
I've been knocking the front office because the front office they get to come down and sit around on the front level when shit is good. I don't care. I just cursed. When shit is nice. See, World Wide West get to come around and hug and bump and all of that. Yeah. Dude, what are you getting paid for?
I don't know.
Like, what?
Right.
How do you still have that moniker? How do you still have that name? What are you getting paid for? Like, what have you done? You're nothing. Collecting a check.
Nothing, bro. I'm telling you.
You're eating on the Dolan train.
Right.
Let's keep it a buck. You've done nothing.
Nothing.
They threw up that story. Oh, he really wanted quickly. Really?
Okay.
It's really going. You're vice president of whatever your role is, whatever. You're getting millions and millions of dollars, and I'm never the one to watch anybody's money, right? What have you done? What connection have you done? What we were arguing up until the beginning of the season about Damian Lillard and the possibility of Knicks getting Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal. Why hasn't one of these moves been made?
Because your front office
in a better place than we are today.
Your front office is inept, bro.
Okay.
Your front office is inept. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
So, but the thing is, the reason why your front office is inept, bro, is for this reason. They don't pick a direction and go, and that's what I'm saying. That's the thing. Like AD, wow. when you get ready to go somewhere, you know where you're going. You pick that direction and you go to that place, right? When you say, hey man, I need something to eat. You know, you either going to a store or some type of place that serves food, and then you go to that place, right? The Knicks say we need a point guard, so we just gonna walk around MSG.
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you something too, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. If this Bulls team makes a deep playoff run and we don't, heads gotta roll.
Okay. I'm with you. But what head? Who?
Leon Rose.
Okay.
Who else?
Okay.
Who else? We sat here at the trade deadline. You was on the show with me.
Okay.
Remember we did a 6-hour show at the trade deadline waiting for the Knicks to announce that they traded for Lonzo Ball. Jonathan Macri came on that show that morning. Right? I started the show at 9. We didn't get up until 3 o'clock.
We sat around, and then we found, like, I went on to other shows, and we found reasons as to why it wasn't a good fit. And I'm like, dude, if I'm gonna throw away some money, right? I'm not gonna throw away some money on some yesteryear. And that's no disrespect to Kemba. I'm not throwing no money from yesteryear. Give me a young gun. Give me a young gun that you could argue, okay, maybe if it's not this year, it's next year. Okay? You still have time. Not a man, as I heard, Kenny Smith and them was arguing the other night that Tibbs doesn't know what to do with a Ferrari. What Ferrari?
What Ferrari, bro?
What Ferrari are you talking about? It's a Ferrari in name only.
Right. What Ferrari, bro? What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? Okay?
Can somebody please tell me what Ferrari?
Yeah, what are we talking about? It's you're missing these things right here. If you were gonna supplant Randall, you have to supplant Randall with a real option. With a real day-to-day option that you don't gotta ask the trainer, well, how's his knee? How's his feeling? Right. How's this? How's that? The workout regimen. When I heard him say all that he has to put in to play each game, I'm like, oh my God, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
AD. So I want to close. I want to close the argument on the championship level point guard. I want to save that one for another day.
Close it because I'm hot.
Right now.
But I'll say this one thing right here. For those of you who think you got $8 million, right, to play with, just to give up $8 million because $8 million, that's chump change, is a mere bag of shells, as Rob Cramden used to say, right? Right? That $8 million you could have done something else with. And before you close the argument, oh, he wasn't coming, oh, he wasn't gonna come. How the hell do you know?
You don't know.
Right? Because you got $8 million just to say, well, it's an experiment. Let's take that experiment. And if it doesn't work, so what? There's only $8 million.
Hey, if it's only $8 million, go get it. Go get $8 million and bring it here. Let's look at it. Because I ain't never seen $8 million before. AD, I ain't gonna lie to you. And I've been around people that were worth more than $8 million. I've been around dudes that were worth hundreds of $millions because in a former career I used to do asset management and portfolio management and all that stuff, whatever. Right? That wasn't my money; it was theirs. But we were together. Wasn't my money? I was broke. I might have had like $40. They probably had $400 million. All I had was like 220s in my pocket. Right? But my point is, money like that should not be taken lightly. Let me read what Paris Duggar says. Paris Duggar, thank you for the super chat. Paris Duggar, thank you for your generous contribution as usual. Paris Duggar says, look, fan base, we swung and missed. So let's temper down and refocus soberly with what we need to fix. One of those things is overrating our players. Randall is blamed, but RJ and Rose are not the same. I agree.
I'll take the latter first. Rose, at this stage of the game, is who he is. He started out as a house on fire, shooting some almost 60% from three for the first, 10 games? 11 games?
Him and Kemba.
Right? Could we expect that Rose was going to shoot damn near 60% from three the rest of the season?
No.
Could we expect that Rose wasn't going to be injured and slow down the rest of the season? That's been his track record in the latter point of his career. A good guy off the bench.
Right.
Right? Kemba, bone on bone.
That says it all right there.
If you want to give RJ some smack, oh, no question. Why not? He's a young guy. Give him some smack. Right. He could take it. He's a young guy with years ahead of him. But you gotta put it in proper context. Okay, I heard you say he's playing out of position, basically.
Yes.
Right?
Because statistics say RJ Barrett. So last year, RJ Barrett played 65 games at shooting guard, right? And he averaged 20 points a game on 47% shooting from the field, 44% from three, and 80% free throws. He played 6 games at small forward. He shot 40% from the floor, 30% from three, and 61% from the free throw line. But the Knicks said, "Oh, those shooting guard numbers, they're great and all, but I'm going to go get Fournier. I like RJ Barrett's small forward numbers. 14 points a game, 40% from the floor. I like those numbers." That's classic Nickelodeon. That's Nickelodeon right there.
Yes.
Only the Knicks will do something like that.
Okay.
You're good in this position, so we're gonna move you. It's like the Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason debate, right? The Knicks, at one point, the Knicks were scoring about 92 points a game with Charles Oakley in the lineup. With Anthony Mason in the lineup, the Knicks were scoring 98 points a game, and they gave up a little bit on defense. And so what they were saying is, so with Oakley, we hold teams to 89 and we score 92. But with Mason, we score 97 and we give up 90. Well, we don't want to give up 90 points. We want to keep teams under 90. But that's so Nickelodeon, bro. That's Nickelodeon.
We were keeping teams to like 86, 80.
Yes. Yes.
The league literally said, you know what, Derek Harper, you mastered this hand checking thing in the jiggy here.
Yep.
Like that left hand that you could actually follow a man around the whole court with.
Yep. He looked like a video game.
Yeah,
he looked like a video game, bro.
You got to take that away because you look like you're doing the salsa. The guy goes back, forward, your left hand is
on this hip. On this hip.
Yeah.
And that's one of the Jordan rules. People don't know that. That's one of the Jordan rules. Jordan complained to the NBA office that Derek Harper hand checked him all season and he couldn't get loose to do his moves.
Okay.
Jordan complained about that for 2 years and finally they got rid of the hand check. And Pat Riley, having a little bit of cachet, was like, "Can we?"
It went from a hand check to a bent elbow.
That's the Pat Riley part. That's what I was about to say. That's the Pat Riley part. I was gonna say.
And guys, and think about that. Can you walk around like this all day in your normal life?
No.
Nobody gonna look at you like you slow. You walk around this all day. But Cats figured it out and was like, you know what? If I go like this, like that, take my hand away, take my hand away, hand away, and I could do that all game long. They had to finally say, all right, no more of that.
Right. Because Charles Barkley abused it. You remember Charles Barkley? That's how you got the 5-second back down rule. Because Charles Barkley looked for your bent elbow and he would post you up and back down and look for cutters for 20 seconds. And people didn't nobody want to see Charles Barkley in the post for 20 seconds.
No, not for 20 seconds, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It was like the league was like, yo, Charles, first of all, how about get back in shape? Right? How about get back in shape first?
How about that?
And then you won't have to stay in the post. But every time I think about Charles Barkley, bro, I think about this game I went to, the Knicks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. This was about 1987. And I swear to God, Charles Barkley dunked on Bill Cartwright 13 times in one game. They would run this play.
And Bill was your hero.
I still love Bill Cartwright, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I still love Bill Cartwright.
Bill was your hero.
Yeah, man. I still love Cartwright, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
One of the greatest trades in our history was trading Bill Cartwright for Charles Oakley and the 18th pick, which became Mark Jackson. No, which became Rod Strickland.
Rod Strickland.
Absolutely. In our history, absolutely. And God rest the dead, Al Bianchi made that trade, but he doesn't get enough credit as far as team formation.
Yeah.
That was a team formation move.
And to me, I think the Bulls won that trade, bro.
I don't think. Well, you see, if I got Michael Jordan on my team, you can say I won the trade. Because I got Michael Jordan on my team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But as far as us, remember, when we make the trade for Oakley, the year prior, we signed Sidney Green.
I remember Sidney Green.
We thought Sidney Green was going to be the Oakley.
Yep.
Until we got Sidney Green in uniform, and we were like, okay, Sidney, you're from Brooklyn and all, but that's about it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. As when I put my staple on the guy, my moniker, you're not that nice.
Right.
Sidney.
Right.
But you got a whole lot of money at that time anyway. I think Sidney got like a 4-year, $5 million contract. Sidney got like some ridiculous money for Sidney Green.
Yeah.
And going through the season, we was like, oh my God, Sidney, you're not that good of a rebounder. Sidney, not that okay. You got a little bit of a jump shot, but this is why Detroit had you on the bench behind Mahorn and everybody, because you okay, but you're not that nice.
But he would, man, no lie, when you watch the Pistons, the Pistons, remember the old school Pistons jackets, the warm-up jackets? To me, that was the flyest ones in the game. You know, so they had their first name on it, you know, so last name on the back or whatever. And you know what I'm saying, Vinnie Johnson, Sidney Green come off the bench, and you see Johnson. I was like, man, them things is fly right there, boy. Nah, I can't have one. I could never buy one.
His role.
Yeah, but
man who, if there was ever a man in this league who knew his role, it was Vinnie Johnson.
Yep.
Okay? I'm gonna come off the bench. I'm gonna give you these buckets, or I'm gonna give you these minutes. Whether I get these buckets or not, I'm gonna give you these minutes. And it's gonna be hard and play hard. And when the coach puts me out the game, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. I'm not going to the press. I'm not vying for more playing time.
Right.
I'm not telling somebody I'm better than Isaiah.
Nope.
I'm better than Joe Dumars.
Right.
I'm better than Earl Curitan, because remember, Vinnie Johnson precedes Joe Dumars.
Yeah. Yeah, him and Kelly Tripucka.
Yeah. Afro Perm Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah, he make you laugh. Kelly Tripucka is from my neighborhood. Growing up in Jersey City.
Yeah, Kelly's from Jersey, right? Right. Shout out to Kelly. It's one of those. The funniest thing was, I used to make this argument, or when I made this argument as far as LeBron Jordan with the, you know, the X and the J and the whatever they call it, our generation. And I would always get to this piece right here. There is a
Wait a minute. Did you know Vinnie Johnson is a billionaire?
Is a who?
Billionaire.
Who? Vinnie?
The microwave.
Whoa. Talk about it. Speak on it.
Yo, I'm about to put the link in the chat right now.
Speak on it.
It's a Bloomberg article. I don't know. I don't know. I'm about to put the article. I'm about to put the article in. Put a link to the article in the chat.
I know there's another.
He is using. They said his executives are costing him billions of dollars in his business, and I was like, billions of dollars? What do you get billions? And then I look. So I got the link right here to the article, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
You know who else is a billionaire and we didn't realize it? A former Knicks shooting guard, Aaron Aflalo.
I'm not surprised.
Is a billionaire, bro.
Here's why I would say this. There's another brother. His name is skipping me right now. He owns over 300 fast food restaurants.
Wendy's. I know who you're talking about.
I think he was an executive in Wendy's.
Yeah.
Right. And he had a story like about 5 years ago. I don't know how I got to it, because he's not a Knick ball player. His name always skips me.
He played for the Bucks.
Yes. It's gonna come to me. And he talked about financial management.
Yep.
And right around the time when that ESPN story broke came out, they did an article with him. And he said when he came into the league, players didn't talk with other players about sound management or things that happened to them when they got broke or how they got broke and how they lost money. It was like if you lost money, you were so ashamed of it, of how you lost the money and so forth, that you didn't want to tell anybody.
Right.
And he said early in his career, he realized that he wasn't going to be the star that he thought he was going to be coming out of college.
Right.
And he went back to school like during the
Yep.
off season, and he started, business management and blah 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 blah.
Right.
And next thing you know, as of 5 years ago, he owned like 300 Wendy's.
Yep.
When they when he talked about like I think at the time he was encroaching on $1 billion, but
right.
you know what I'm saying. He's way up in the shadows here, money wise,
right.
capital wise and so forth. But he was talking. But his overall message was, as far as to the young brothers and just young people coming into the league and so forth, as far as saving their money and really attaching themselves to sound investments. And I'm glad we went there. I'm glad we kind of transitioned here because it's very important. You don't have to be an athlete or a major business person in order to make
Junior Bridgman, that's his name. Junior Bridgman, that's his
name. Junior Bridgman, yes. In order to make sound investments for you and your family and for future generations to have some wealth. See what I'm saying? Right. It starts from one place to the next place to the next place. Spending all your money off on the latest and the greatest. Even my lady, or ladies I've known in the past and so forth, that has, counseled me on certain things because I'm a spender. I've always been a spender. If you left it up to me, you know what I'm saying? I'm Ed. We're gonna go out tonight. Let's go have a good time. You know what I'm saying? Let's go do, you know what I'm saying? Let's go spend. Somebody has to pull you back into the frame of things and be like, you know what? There's another day.
Yeah.
There's tomorrow. And let's look into this, that, and the next thing. Let's not fall into Black Friday sales and the latest holiday sales and so forth. Or even if we do, make a wise investment. So I don't want to preach too much, but
I got into that. No, I feel you because it's not a cultural thing or whatever. I think it's a personality trait. Like for instance, I was looking for a car, right? I knew what I wanted. I wanted a Mercedes-Benz GL 450 with the panoramic roof. I had to have it. Had to have it, right? So I searched and searched, and I talked to the guys that be calling me. I'd be at work. They'd be calling me, "Hey, Uncle Freezie, we found one. It's such and such, but it don't have a panoramic roof." Get off my phone. Is what I said. Get off my phone. Don't call me until you got the one I want.
Yeah.
And so then I was listening to a Nas song. And Nas was like, "Yo, you're chasing all these fancy things, and then when you get it, you're still not satisfied because you're gonna be like on to the next one." And so and this ain't because I got money, bro. It's because my kids had grown. All my kids are grown. You know what I'm saying? My house is paid off. And it's like, I wanted to get the car that I wanted to drive as opposed to going on the lot and them giving me something. You know what I'm saying? They giving me something and then I got to pay for it. I have already been through that like 5 times.
Right.
Hey, man, I know you wanted something to fit your family, but all we got is this small 4-door sedan. You know what I'm saying? So, so when it came time for me to buy the one that I want, I was going to buy the one that I want. But anyway, that's another story for another day, right? So the guy calls me, and then it dawns on me like, yo, Uncle Freezie, do you have to blow all this money on this whip just because you may be able to afford it? And it dawned on me, no.
Right.
Fine. Build up your portfolio.
Right.
Like most people don't, and I'm not going to get into a thing, but most people don't own nothing. And then the sad part is they don't understand or they don't realize that they don't own nothing. They might be renting, they still paying for their car, the bank still own it. Because if you miss your payment, the bank gonna come get it. You know what I'm saying? The only thing they own is the clothes on their back.
Yeah.
So to hear the Junior Richmond story, I was like, yo, most NBA players. I saw Blair Thomas. You remember Blair Thomas from Penn State?
I'm a Jet fan. Of course, I know Blair Thomas.
Blair Thomas held out of camp and came into camp out of shape, right? And the first practice he pulled a hamstring.
Yes.
And he sat out like 6 weeks, right? The first game of the season, I think the Jets lost to somebody by like 4 touchdowns, and Blair Thomas was on the sideline with a chinchilla coat and 2 6-foot-tall models. And I was like, that dude right there, he's bad out of shape. He got on the chinchilla.
Hold on, thinking he's Broadway Joe.
Yes!
Only Broadway Joe can do that, Blair. God, jeez.
But AD, he hadn't played a down yet in the NFL.
Down.
Right? He hadn't played a down, and he living like he a Hall of Famer, right? And the funny thing about it is, in September, bro, it's not even that hot. It's not even that cold outside of New York for you to be wearing a chinchilla coat, bro. Why you got on a chinchilla coat and it's 55 degrees, 50 degrees?
Things that, you know, going back to our earlier point as far as management and organizations win franchises, you have to have people on the ground, your ground people that can come back to you and report to you like, this dude right here, he really cares about this. He really cares about that. Like, he was nice in that Michigan game versus Ohio State, but he don't really care about that. You know, he's a Big Ten alum, he's Big 8, he's big whatever, Big Sky, Big West, big whatever.
Right.
But get him away from the big. His game is trash.
Right.
What he really cares about is trash. You see, and only the people on the ground, that's your scouts, your canvassers, those that's gonna go to certain hoods that a lot of guys are not going to, whether with money or without money, not going to be like, this is what's really going on right here. And even when he gets some money, he's gonna be about this life. Or you're gonna have this 5-year trajectory from him because he's gonna be about this. That's what builds winning organization. Right. Those type of peoples. And it's those type of peoples that you want to talk to your Leon Roses and say, well, look, I'm telling you, draft this guy. Or if he's available in the free agent pool, sign this guy.
Right.
See, that's how you win. That's how San Antonio was so successful all of those years. Even they got Duncan, they got Robinson, but they're guys on the ground. Who knew about Manu Ginobili?
Nobody really.
Who knew about Tony Parker?
Right.
Who knew about Patty Mills?
Yep. Bars D out.
When they traded what's the name for Kawhi Leonard was the 15th pick. 3 picks in front of Iman Shumpert.
Yep.
Right? Yep. Somebody in their organization said, look, this guy right here with the funny name from, where do you go to school? New Mexico or some shit like that? San Diego State. This guy right here, give up what we're going to give up for him. Because why? He is the next piece to lead us from the Duncan Manu, Tony Parker era. And that's management. That's overall management that you have to trust. And you can't have two camps.
Right.
You see, what we have right now is in Knickerbocker land, we have two camps. We got the upper level guys, and we got the guys on the ground. And we're seeing two different schools. As much as I didn't want Woody to come back here, the moment Woody got a chance, out.
Right. Right.
Because he saw what was going on. Like, Woody was a top paid assistant. Woody damn near 70 years old. Who wants to come to college at 70 years old?
Bro.
Who wants to chase around 16, 17, 18-year-old recruits at 70 years old?
Right.
When you had a nice cushy job as a top lieutenant in a major organization.
Yeah, man. But Indiana paid him nice. And I remember when we drafted him, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
If that doesn't breed, you know, if that doesn't breed this organization, nothing else does.
I understand where you're coming from, bro, but I got a soft spot in my heart for him because I thought him, Michael Ray Richardson, and Bill Cartwright was the future. That was our young core. Cartwright, Mike Woodson. I'm so ashamed of myself right now. I don't know what to do.
You should be.
I know this.
Because you're going to have Cartwright with Michael Ray Richardson. Michael Ray is a Ferrari. Cartwright is a Pinto.
Yes.
They don't
but we didn't know it at the time, though.
No, hold on a second. The person who drafted him was Willis Reed. Okay?
Right.
When you roll into certain places, and you've been certain places, and the person who parks your car,
valet.
Yeah, when the valet comes out, you roll up with a Ferrari. Okay, bang, I'm gonna seat you right there. You roll up with a Benz, bang, I'm gonna seat you right there. You roll up with something else, you know, Jaguar, whatever, seat you right there. You roll up with a Bill Cartwright Pinto, and you're trying to ask the valet to park your car. The valet is looking at you. It's like Eddie Murphy in what's that movie?
Trading Places, not Trading Places. Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop. When he rolls up with the Chevy Nova, and the dude's like, park this. Oh, just park it anywhere. No. You don't get to park your car amongst all of this expensive vehicles. You don't get to bring in wide body Bill amongst young Ferraris. Like, I would bet that Bill's 40 time was like a 6 at 22 years old.
Maybe if he was running downhill.
Like a 6. Oh my God, like a 640.
Yes. But my man, but he was tough, and he had touch around the basket, and he had a jump shot.
I'll give him that. But he was, but what he wasn't, and this is, and you know what? Maybe we should do a little thing on Bill Cartwright, but we'll start here. Here's what Bill's problem was. Bill's problems, his points and stuff, they were like David Lee's. They just weren't important in the most important times when you needed them. David Lee, I remember Shaq branded him the double-double because 26 and 15, 20 and that. But when you needed them in the most important times, it was a clang.
I know this.
It just wasn't important. It was stat stuffing. Bill, for most of his Knicks career, he was injured. That's another thing.
That's one thing.
That you often forget that Bill was injury prone. Young Bill with that voice of his, right? Bill didn't come to prominence, and this is facts, until he got to Chicago. He bucks up with a young Michael Jordan, and young Mike despises Bill Cartwright.
But Cartwright was old, bro.
Cartwright, when Cartwright got to there. I think Cartwright was like 30.
He was a
I'm gonna
10-year
give
vet. He was like 32.
yeah, all right. I'm gonna give, but he was still sound enough that they saw something that they needed with him, a big body that could bang with Detroit, right? And Mike tells the other teammates, don't pass him the ball. Don't give this big, clumsy guy with elbows the ball. And Bill heard about it. And Bill became a man. Yet Bill exerted his manliness all over this young guy. Dude, you do that again, I'm gonna hurt you. Now the respect came into fact, because that's a part, even in The Last Dance, they gloss over that part right there. That at one point in time, Bill let it be known to this dude, you do that again, I'm gonna hurt you.
Right.
So that's Bill's sum up right there. And the fact that when he played against Pat in those playoff series, he used to give Pat a lot of problems. He would push Pat out of his comfort zone way too many times out of our liking, that he made Pat uncomfortable because he knew Pat's game, or he knew young Pat's game early when they played together.
Right.
You know,
because Pat Ewing defensively played in like a 10 square foot area protecting the rim. People forget Pat was a dominant shot blocker, bro. Pat was the shot blocker.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And pulling Pat out of his area, like Bill Cartwright would hit those mid ranges, those 12 to 18 footers. And you pull Pat out there, right? And your rim protector was Charles Oakley. And Charles Oakley couldn't jump over a Daily News. It's what it is. It's what it is. You know?
I'll go one better. I'm gonna go good, the bad, and ugly now. Let's start good.
All right, hold on. Let me cue it. All right, what did we start with again?
91.
What did we start? Which one we start with?
The good.
The good. Okay.
91-92 series. After we beat Detroit, we run into head on against the champions, and they were already defending champions, Chicago.
Right.
Game 1. You could look this up, or any Knicks fan could look this up. And this is Pat Riley's first year. We get our first quarter blood in Game 1 in Chicago. Ewing has, I think, 35 and 22. 35-22, and I want to say I think he had like 4 blocks in that game. Right. But he seals it with, because going into that series, no one really thought that we were gonna have a chance against Chicago. But the good is Ewing in Game 1 that sounded the arrival that we were gonna be serious, because we beat. We didn't beat Detroit. Was it Detroit that first time, or was it Boston?
Which year is it? 91 or 92? It's gotta be 90. It's gotta be 92. Spring 92.
Remember, because our seasons, go from one year to the next. I think it's a 91.
Well, the 90-91 season is when they won the championship against the Lakers. So if they defended, it's got to be 91-92.
Okay, so 91-92. We get there in Chicago Stadium. Ewing drops his 35, I think 22 and 5 or something like that. One just crazy, but he culminates it on the left side. Hits Cartwright with the crossover. Now, think about this. This is a 7'1" man, 7'1", 250, is going to hit another 7'2", 7'3" guy with a crossover, right? Ewing hits him with the crossover on the left side. Two-handed double pump, drops it down. Game over.
Right.
Right.
It's funny how you say the emergence of Pat Ewing and don't say the emergence of John Starks.
Well, for that, here's the thing.
Because I know where you're going. I know where you're going, but it wasn't just Pat Ewing that got better. It was the team around him got better.
Well, Ewing got better because of his whole experience in the Olympics, and so forth and so forth. But he had already arrived to me, because to me, his arrival game was 2 years before in Boston, when they finally beat Boston in Boston, when he drops 28, 7, and 5.
Right.
Culminating with his 3-pointer on the end, when he finally
you're talking about the tipped out loose ball that went to the corners. Ewing saves it.
Yes.
Squared, looks at the rim, shot clock running down.
Yes.
Somebody got to shoot it. Pat Ewing shoot it.
Yes. And when the game is over, he's pointing up. He's doing the Usain Bolt, pre-Usain Bolt, and he's pointing up to his family that's up in the stands, like, "Yo, I got y'all."
Yo, can you please show some love to my Caribbeans, bro?
Well, you see,
can you show some love to my Caribbeans, bro?
We never have to say love, because the love is always there.
Okay, because I was gonna say, so Pat did something.
The love ain't never going nowhere.
Okay, I was gonna say, because Pat is Jamaican.
Pat is Jamaican. Here's the funny thing with it. And I'm gonna give not
that y'all down south country boys know nothing about being Jamaican. We need to show some love to our Caribbeans.
But I'm gonna show you the total hypocrisy of it, right? Pat is Jamaican. I'm from Jamaican roots, Jamaican as well.
Whatever. Here we go. Hey, whatever. Everybody,
We're here in the tri-state area with a large Jamaican contingent, a large Caribbean contingent, and during those times, most of those fans, or a lot of those fans, were Bulls fans. Yeah, like some of my best people that I grew up with, that are, as we say, that are yard men. You know what I'm saying? That means that you are from the, from the soil, or you grounded like that.
Right.
They were Bulls fans, even in my family.
Right.
They were Bulls fans. So as I'm wearing my number 33, you know what I'm saying? And Pat has, which sounded that win against Chicago, against Michael Jordan in Chicago Stadium, it sounded the bell that the fight was on. It was real.
Right.
Right? We lose, okay, the bad. We lose game 2. Throw the bad up. We lose game 2, right?
No, not in 92.
Yeah, we win game 1. We lose game 1. Yeah, we win game 1. Absolutely. We win game 1. It nailed them on the chin. They actually woke up, and now they took us seriously, because at that moment in time, who knew about John Starks? Who knew about Mason? Nobody. The guys that was known on our team was Pat, Mark Jackson, Charles Oakley, and those are the known 3 on our team. And we still had Gerald Wilkins, who was still a part of the team, and the other players that were on our team at that time. But everything was still focused around Pat. But once we hit them with that opening heavy right, I still remember like the next day reading all of the newspapers, Newsday, the Post, Daily News, whatever. It was like, it's on. Yeah. We've sounded the bell. This is why we brought Pat Riley in here, to bring us to a certain point of making things serious. And you remember, it almost seemed like, and this is part of the bad with Riley and then Phil Jackson, because Phil Jackson was the most crybaby, antagonistic coach on the sideline you ever wanted to see.
And we know this, bro.
Young Phil, oh my, because the respect was towards Riley. Even though Phil had a championship, Riley had 4.
Yep.
So it was like, yo, and I'll give you one better. Red Auerbach was still alive at the time after that game.
Yep.
And going in, I think it was either after that game or going into the series, the Knicks had some kind of a function. And remember, Red Auerbach was Phil Jackson's mentor. He loved Phil.
Yep.
He was the one who encouraged Phil to go into coaching. But at that function or whatever, it almost was like Red was giving his love to Pat Riley. And Phil hated that because Phil, that was his position. But here's what it was, Phil. Red was passing off this torch to a Knicks coach, to a Knickerbocker.
Right.
It just infuriated Phil. So when you watch some of those old games and you see Phil on the sideline, this is pre 2 hip surgeries. Phil used to go crazy.
Yep.
And it was on because we landed the first punch, and we landed a major punch. They win game 2, we come back in game 3, we win game 3. It's back and forth, it's back and forth, it's back and forth until the ugly.
I got you. Hold on for just a second.
Mm-hmm. The ugly pretty much starts from game 6. It's 3-2 Chicago.
The Knicks' backs against the wall.
Knicks' backs against the wall. Ewing sprains his ankle in game 6. It doesn't look like he's going to come back into the game. And all of a sudden, the lights shine on, and he has his Willis Reed moment. It's not in the finals. I get this, Knicks fan, who about to say he's not in the finals. I get it. But it was his moment. And he was playing against Goliath. And our backs are against the wall. And it's a must win. And here comes Ewing out of the Willis Reed tunnel.
Can I pick it? Can I pick it up from here?
Can you please, because I'm about to lose it.
Okay.
Please.
So Pat comes out the tunnel, right? And Knicks fans, and what happened is during this time when Pat is out, our second best player, or who we thought was our second best player, Xavier McDaniels, is kind of holding it down, kind of keeping us in the game.
Yes.
Right. Pat comes back, and how many points did Pat have when he got hurt? Pat had maybe 17. Was
something
it 17?
Like that. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'll let you get it from here. So
something like that. He had something like that, but it was, I remember Marv Albert was doing the game, and because Marv also did the game, the Willis game. So it's 20 years later. It's Marv picking up on his call. Because remember, if you hear the Willis game, you hear Marv, it's kind of a delayed thing. You hear Marv goes, and the crowd is going wild. Kind of thing for Marv. And Marv is kind of like trying to temper his enthusiasm. But 20 years later, and Marv goes, and Patrick Ewing is coming out, a la Willis Reed. And he was coming out a la Willis Reed because he had his warm-ups on, and he's coming out, and he's coming into the game, and it was like, it just felt like everything was going to be okay. And we were major underdogs going into that series.
Right.
We were major underdogs in the series, but there was something about the fight of that team, that 91-92 team, which is Ewing, Oakley,
McDaniels, Jared Wilkins, Mark
Jackson. That's the starting 5.
Yep.
Starks, Mason are coming off the bench. Starks, Mason, some of the
Greg Anthony, rookie Greg Anthony.
rookie Greg Anthony, yes, because towards that season, throughout that season, it's so funny. Greg was the closer for much of that regular season because Pat kept pushing Greg to be that guy. And the Knicks, here's the funniest thing. The Knicks did not want to draft Greg.
Right.
I was at the draft that night in Madison Square Garden with my friend, he was my classmate, not necessarily my friend, but we used to talk basketball all the time. He was an usher, and we're at the draft, me and my boy Jay, and he brings us from the top down, the blue seats, bring us down to the floor, and Terrell Brandon is falling in the draft. The Knicks draft Greg at 11. Cleveland comes in with their right before us and draft Terrell Brandon.
I remember that.
Right before us. This is another one of our Knicks summing this up at the point guard nonsense where we're sitting there. We want Terrell Brandon.
Yep.
And Terrell Brandon is falling.
Yep.
And we're sitting there instead of making them, and this is no disrespect to Greg Anthony, because Greg, I remember you at UNLV, coming back that second year when you broke your nose and your face and everything.
Your jaw, he broke his jaw in 3 places.
Everything, and how you led that team and how how they fouled you out in that second run against Duke.
Yep.
On BS, because you should have beat Duke again, but that's a whole other story. Greg was not a better offensive player than Terrell
Brandon.
Terrell Brandon, for a lot of cats that don't remember Terrell Brandon at one point in time, I remember Sports Illustrated having him on the cover as the best point guard in the game.
Yep. But he wasn't.
Well, that was their thought process.
Right,
but a la Steph Curry, one pick in front of us, that was Terrell Brandon 15 years before. One pick in front of us.
Yep. Yep.
Same nonsense, but
so just real quick, I want to get back to the Game 6 game just real quick, just throw something in there. What people don't realize is in that Game 6 began the emergence of John Starks.
Yes.
Right? People, Knicks fans clearly forget, like in these moments, John Starks, who was fearless, almost to the point where it was scary. Like listen, I know these are 2 different players and 2 different styles of players, but the mentality of Emmanuel Quickly kind of reminds me of a John Starks where you're an afterthought, right? And the coach is screaming at you, cussing you out like you a junkyard dog, right? And you're like, whatever. Nobody believed in me anyway. What I got to lose? Yeah. Right? And that Game 6 that you mentioned, John Starks scored 27 points. Right? Without Pat. McDaniel was trying to hold it down, right?
Yeah.
But Gerald Wilkins and Mark Jackson were shook, and I'll never forget. Pat Ewing gets hurt. Mark Jackson don't have any answers because he's not a natural scorer.
No.
Right?
No.
Gerald Wilkins is as hot and as cold as a NBA player could possibly get.
As day and night.
Right, yes. But when he's cold, he's useless.
Yeah.
Useless, right?
Yeah.
Starks, see, and as a Knicks fan, you know this. If Starks sees 3 shots in a row go in, he gonna give you the business.
Yeah.
Right? Starks is streaky too.
Because now he's blue flame.
Yeah. It's because Starks was streaky too, but Starks was a 2 that could facilitate also. Like in that game, him and Gerald Wilkins in the backcourt together, people forget Starks could be the lead guard for you in stretches.
Yeah,
right?
in stretches. In
Right.
stretch.
Not a point guard. Don't get it twisted, y'all.
No,
Starks was not a point guard.
he can, because he could. The following year is when the pick and roll, but is when the pick and slip with him and Ewing really came to fruition, and he could run that pick and roll. But it started in that particular game a little bit. You started seeing it, and you started seeing that him and Ewing. But that's what I say, when you draft players to complement who you think your best guys are.
Right.
Or you not only draft, but you sign players. And they brought in guys that mirrored the edge that Ewing had. Look at all these guys. All of these guys are guys you want. Right. If you in the street, if you in a bar fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you somewhere, whatever, you know, even Hubert Davis, you know, and he might have been the lesser of all, but all of these guys, Pretty Shirt Greg in Phoenix, running off the bench and busting Kevin Johnson in the head.
Yeah.
Greg is hurt in his pretty shirt.
Yes.
Nowhere near the play. But for the mere fact that Doc Rivers goes running after Kevin Johnson because of a perceived, which was a dirty play to play before, and you never throughout his career, you never saw Doc Rivers act like that.
No, because even then we knew Doc Rivers was going to be an executive or something.
Yes, even absolutely. Doc had that. Yes, absolutely. But Doc was a tough guy. From he went to oh my God, he went to where Dwayne Wade went to.
DePaul.
No, not DePaul. Same college. Oh my God, it's skipping me. But and then
What did Dwayne Wade go to school to?
Not DePaul.
It's in my mind because they didn't go to school in Chicago. They went to school in Milwaukee. What's the school in Milwaukee? Let me search for it.
But he's from that Chicago tough, and he goes lashing after Kevin Johnson. Marquette.
Yeah.
Right. He goes lashing after Kevin Johnson.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you see the camera pans to the right. And there was Pretty Shirt Greg in his multicolored shirt. Greg runs off the bench, and Greg is giving Kevin Johnson the business. And he's giving anybody who wasn't a Knickerbocker, he is giving them the business. Right. And to quote Kevin Johnson years later, when they asked Kevin, and here's a man that, to me, if you ask me, should have a place in this organization because that's who we are. See, that's who we are. He's not a New Yorker by blood, but he's a New Yorker by, transplant. By makeup. And Greg Anthony said we had one mantra. We either going to win the game or we're going to win the fight.
Right.
Okay? Right. So you decide how it's going to go. Okay? And that's where we're losing, even with Thibodeau as our coach. Fournier is not a Knickerbocker. He's not.
I know this, bro. I know this. But let me touch on what you just mentioned though. That draft that we got Greg Anthony, right? In my heart of hearts, I ain't gonna tell you no lie. Right. So I like Duke basketball, right? I've been liking Duke basketball since like '83. Right. So NC State had a backcourt that year that you mentioned that we got Greg Anthony. They had a point guard named Chris Corchiani.
Yes.
And a shooting guard named Rodney Monroe.
Fire and ice.
Fire and ice.
Fire and ice.
And in my mind, and no lie, hand to the man. There were a lot of good. You remember Elliot Perry from Tennessee State?
That's right.
The little good. So there were a lot of point guards in this draft.
Too frail to play in the NBA. Frail.
But so was Kenny Anderson. Kenny Anderson was the number 2 pick.
Yeah, but Kenny was
Kenny was exceptional, right? Kenny was exceptional.
Yes.
Right.
Mr. Chin.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at though, what I'm getting at is, bro, Mark Macon was in this draft.
Yes.
You remember Mark Macon? I'm looking at the draft right now, and when you talk,
absolutely.
Yes. And so you're talking about all the point guards: Kenny Anderson, Steve Smith. Remember Steve Smith from Michigan State?
Absolutely. Steve was never a true point guard to me, though.
Yeah,
Although he played point at Michigan State, Steve was another one of those 6'8", a la, am I gonna be Magic Johnson? But he was never a point guard.
No, he wasn't fast enough.
Jalen Rose, who Jalen became like later on in his career.
Yeah, 2 years later, Jalen came.
Yeah, that he's a shooting guard quasi that you can get away with him at the point from time to time.
Right. But Eric Murdoch was in that draft. You remember Eric Murdoch?
Eric Murdoch, yes.
Eric Murdoch was in that draft. It was two other
not good enough to be in the NBA neither.
Eric Murdoch still though had that mental makeup where if he had better physical skills, bro, he could have. But Doug Overton was in this draft. And I tell you what, a dude that I used to play in the backyard with, a dude named Anthony Avent. A dude that I used to play basketball with on Carteret.
Big A from Seton Hall. Absolutely.
Yes.
Anthony Avent. Yeah. But
every time I saw him, he was like the dog. He was like the dude that was blessed with all the gifts. That he was like, yeah, if we play today, we play. If we don't, we don't. And I'm like, bro, it's those that dream to have your size and skills.
And you coach desire.
Yeah.
You can coach everything else. You can't coach desire. You see, desire gets you up at 3-4 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
Desire gets you out running by yourself as a black man. Knowing that there's no if you good and well, you shouldn't be out at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning with a hoodie on, running miles and miles and miles, knowing that you may catch one in the skull.
Right.
That's desire.
Right.
A lot of these, desire is, I didn't eat, for 2-3 days, and maybe it's gonna be cornflakes. It's gonna be cornflakes with water, with no sugar.
Yeah.
That's desire. You can't. That right there, no coach can give it to you. No front office can give it to you. That's what your canvassers know about, these guys that's coming from these situations that's like, you know what? They already hungry.
Right.
You see, they're hungry, they got the skill set. All we need to do is to be able to harness that with what we have here with some of this, and we're gonna win a championship.
Bro, I'm gonna just tell you this real quick. So there was a time there's a basketball court on Garfield Ave right off of Carteret. And it was like 6 of us on this court. It was a dude named Roger Rhodes, myself, Uncle Freezie, Anthony Avent, Terry DeHare, Bobby Hurley, and one other person. And the dudes come out there. I ain't gonna say the other person's name. I ain't name dropping, right? But he walk up, he got his championship ring on. Like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? He come up with his brand. Bro, his Cadillac was so clean, bro. You like, ooh, wee boy. So he come up, he still got his fro. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, he like, hey, man, Uncle Freezie, one of y'all ain't gonna make it to the league, bro. I ain't want to say who it is, but one of y'all shorties ain't gonna make it to the league, bro. One of y'all ain't got enough talent to make it to the league. And I'm like, yeah, man, you better tell them, man. And, you know what I'm saying? Don't break their heart either. You know what I'm saying? This dude talking about me.
And so, I know who you're talking about.
I know
who you're talking about.
I know. So for those that don't know, it's David Rivers.
Right?
So it's David Rivers, right? David Rivers like, hey man, one of y'all ain't gonna make it to the league, bro. He looking at Bobby Hurley and Terry DeHare, both that's the starting backcourt at St. Andrews, right? That's the starting backcourt at St. Anthony's. Bobby Hurley and Terry DeHare. They started the backcourt together. People don't know that, right? But what happened is both of them committed. They were like, "Yo, we're gonna go to the same school, right? We want to keep this backcourt together. We're gonna go to the same school." Roger Rose is a shorty, like younger, like way younger than us, but he was so good and so big that he played with us, bro. Like we was like the same height, and I'm like 5 years older than him. You know what I'm saying? And so, and Anthony, like no lie, and like Anthony Avent, bro. I ain't gonna lie. So his I think his grandma, somebody used to drop him off. We was kids. Somebody used to drop him off on Carteret, and he used to play. He used to break our rim. Like back that day, you know what I'm saying? Your parents buy you a basketball rim, and you just put it up on the tree. The kids put it up. The adults ain't there. Like, yo, I got you the rim. You do the rest. And so he used to dunk and tear the rim down, and we'd be mad. Like, man, now we gotta, you know what I'm saying? Now we gotta stop hanging on the rim that way. You know what I'm saying? And so we got now it's gonna take us 2 hours to put the rim back. But anyway, anyway, David Rivers said, "Hey, one of y'all ain't making it to the league." I'm like, "Hey, man, yo, hey, Anthony, man, if you don't get your stuff together, you ain't gonna make it. I'm gonna make it." You know what I'm saying? Come to find out, David Rivers was right. One of us didn't make it to the league. So, but anyway, hey, man, this is my time for me to wrap up and get out of here, man. I gotta.
All right, sir.
I gotta get. We gotta talk this. We gotta talk this Tank Davis thing at some point.
You know what? Let me take 2 minutes. I thought about Tank coming into the show because coming into the show, I'm here. I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff in my house. I was painting right before I got on the show.
What?
Oh yeah.
What kind of painting?
I'm pretty nice. I'm pretty decent.
You mean an artist, not household?
No, I'm talking about household. Bump that. No, that's for CP the artist. That's not okay. CP the artist. Shout out, where you at, baby? Stop playing. But anyway, I was painting. I'm here inside painting my bathroom and stuff. But I thought about Tank Davis, and I watched the fight last week. Not during the fight, but after the fight. Here's my thing with Tank. Tank reminds me a lot of Mike Tyson. A smaller version of Mike Tyson. And as I'm watching the fight, as it's going on early on into the fight, Tank is susceptible to a stiff jab from a taller individual.
Right.
And a stiff jab begots the right hand. Tank is fast, very fast hands, very explosively fast hands. But he's gonna run into that, and I'm hoping that they don't throw him up in division. Like, yeah. I'm hoping not because
he know 140. He know 140.
But eventually that's where he's going, is to 140 from 130. That's where he's going. And I'm watching, I'm like, Tank, you've done well against taller fighters. These last few fighters, everybody's taller than Tank, basically. But you haven't met tall with skill or with sustained skill.
And athleticism, yeah.
And athleticism, because although we knocked down what Tyson was going into Buster Douglas, but we never look at Buster Douglas in that fight as to who he was in that fight, which was tall, skillful, athletic, and with a plan that was going to dominate even the best of Mike, because he had everything, which was grappling, or brawling. I can tie you up. I can push you off because you know why? I'm taller than you. I'm stronger than you. You know what I'm saying? My arms are longer than you. So you gotta eat these to come in. See what I'm saying?
Mike won that fight though.
Well, the long count, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But up until that point and after that point,
Buster was whooping his butt.
Buster was giving him the business.
Right.
And that's what I see in Tank. I'm like, Tank, I'm seeing a little bit of laziness in you. I'm seeing a lack of head movement. I'm seeing some things that you're relying on your explosiveness and your hard
He need to be
punches.
challenged, bro. He need to be in there with more because laziness doesn't come from a lack of energy or effort.
But
Laziness comes from fighting
here's the thing
the
with today's fighter.
same all the time.
Here's the thing with today's fighter, and I watched the last Spence fight. Spence to me it's not worth me talking about. So to me, he's a puffed up guy with an undefeated record. And here's my thing with today's fighters with
What about
this.
his speed, bro? Come on, man.
No. Puffed up fighter with an undefeated record. And if he meets what's the name? If he meets Crawford eventually, Crawford is knocking him out inside of 5 rounds.
No, Crawford. Because Crawford is a slow starter.
Inside of 5 rounds, Crawford is knocking him
starter. Why are you giving him 5?
He is nowhere near the skill of Bud Crawford. Okay? He is nowhere near the skill level of Bud Crawford, and his people know this, which is why they have not put that fight together yet. Okay? His people know this. His people are waiting for Bud Crawford to get old to match that fight.
Nah, man.
Okay? Let's just keep it a buck. But my point was with today's fighters are this.
It wasn't dude in a car accident?
That was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago, bro.
He was still fighting. And 2 years prior to the car accident, you and your folks is talking all of this. All of this. Here's my thing with today's fighters and it's not even the fighters. I know you guys don't control who you fight. You get dictated to. Yeah. So for all that talk online, I'll fight you, bro. I'll this, I'll that, whatever. You have to come offline and go talk to the guy who signed your check. So I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to your management. I'm talking to people who cuts the check. This is boxing's problem on why MMA has slowly gotten a foot into this arena. You no longer make the best fights. And when you make a fight, should a guy lose, you almost want to end his career because he lost. That is ridiculous. The greatest fighters of all times, every single one of them that you can name over the last 70 years has multiple losses on their records. Outside of Mayweather, every single one of them, Pacquiao, Ali, Leonard, Hearns, Robinson,
Lennox Lewis,
Archie Moore, Lennox Lewis, whoever you want, Sandy Sadler. I can go Michael Spinks. I can go
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. He's not in that cloth, but every fighter, because what great fights, somebody's going to lose. Alexis Arguello, Roberto Duran, great fights. When you match a great fighter against a great fighter, guess what? Somebody's going to lose. But that's what holds the audience. That's the appealing part that gets us coming back. Because maybe if you're smart enough, you'll have a second fight or a trilogy.
Right.
So that's my word to them. Please stop with this nonsense. There's no reason why Bud Crawford shouldn't have already kicked Spence's ass already.
Right. Well, they were going to fight who got in the car accident. They were going to fight who got in the car accident, bro.
But prior to the car accident, they were milling around. I've seen Spence. I saw Spence against Garcia. I like
Mikey Garcia though.
A lackluster 12-rounder. Michael Garcia is nothing more than a puffed up junior welterweight. Spence could not take him out. Spence in his last fight. Spenton is
Anyway, let me go, man. When are we gonna talk boxing, bro? You keep dodging me.
Whenever you ready, baby. I'll never duck you, baby. I know you. You're the greengrocer champ.
No, the Green Street Grocery champ 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. This is the second year they talk about I was cheating. I wouldn't fight because I was pointing them up. He won't, Mr. James. He won't fight. All he do is touch you with the glove.
Always ready because boxing was my first love. You know, shout out to rest in peace, Pernell Whitaker, and all the greats and all the. Yeah. I'm gonna say this once. I'm gonna say this, and then we can roll off this subject. Boxing is the original game that had an entourage. You understand? When you see Muhammad Ali with Drew Bundini Brown, who dies of severe diabetes. Drew Bundini Brown was his guy, his mantra. When you see him float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, on the other side of that is Drew Bundini Brown.
Right.
You know, who worked with Sugar Ray Robinson before then. You know, when you see him on the top of the ropes, if you watch some of those old Ali fights, you would think Drew Bundini Brown and Ali was married, because you would hear him crying in the corner. Come on, champ! Come on, champ! You can hear him above the audio, right?
Right.
You know, the love for the sport. You know, when it was the main sport, and you had your entourage, you got a guy for everything. You know, Sugar Ray Robinson had like 100-piece entourage. You know, everything was catered to.
But AD, you need that, bro. You got to have it. When you box, bro.
But it just came with it.
Right.
It came with it. Once you became it came with it.
You got to have it, bro.
So
you got to have bro, you got to have the dude that know what kind of tape, how you like to have your hands taped.
Yes.
Right? You got to have the dude that's gonna go get the meals for everybody in the crew. Right? You got to have, you know what I'm saying, your special trainers, because you got to be in a mindset that when I get in here, and I'm talking about like on a high level. I ain't never boxed at a high level, but on the highest level, you are literally, you go in that thing and you may not come out of there the same person that you went in as, right? And so you don't want to be trying to handle all this stuff. You want to be focused on the opponent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't want to be like, yo, I gotta go park the cars. You gotta get you a driver.
But you carrying all that responsibility. And I say this to say this. Very rarely does the fighters that we've seen and watched and loved have anything left at the end of their career.
Right.
You know, they're living hand to mouth. Iran Barkley was homeless for a long period of time.
Right.
You know, and I don't say this to make light or to make fun of them, because Iran DeBlay Barkley from Bronx, New York, you know, and I mentioned it before, who learned how to box technically from his older sister.
Right.
You know, a lot of these gentlemen, you know, a lot of the Mexican fighters, the Puerto Rican fighters, you know, just the European fighters, is just, you know, they go with, you know, without recognition. You know, Rocky Lockridge, homeless. You know, so many of them. You know, just shout out to those pugilists that we've known and loved and watched them throughout the years when it was no MMA.
Yeah,
when it was the sweet science, when it still is the sweet science. And I tell people all the time, I'd rather watch boxers than two men grapple on the ground, rolling on top of each other. Because, I'm not going to go to my ending point. But yeah. So, but yeah, Freezie, again, it was a pleasure with you, sir. Let me know when you want to get into the boxing. We can get into it. I know a topic immediately that we could touch on and so forth. So we can go from there, sir.
Right, no doubt, no doubt. Let me get the Paris Sucker super chat, and I'm gonna get out of here. So, Paris Sucker, thank you for your generous contribution. As Rolls is BSing, and what about Tibbs said about RJ? We will talk about that on another day. I'm gonna get out of here so I can eat lunch with my lady. I will holler at y'all later, bro.
That's right, Queen Mocha.
All right, so
Salute.